Good morning to you. Welcome to Up to the Minute. It's a Friday. Congratulations. You made it through another week. Can you believe it? June. We're almost in July. June the 25th is the date. We've got a great show lined up for you for the next half hour or so. Your HCC news and information. And hey, kids, we're live on Facebook and YouTube this morning. We're moving up in this world. Frank Cooper's back in the saddle. He looks like you're calling shots for a ball game or something, Frank, like you're in the booth.
Yeah, in my former life, I was Marv Albert's son, and I took over to TNT. So
in an alternate dimension.
In alternate timeline. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Doing good outside my power being out, but outside of that, I'm doing great.
You're in a special location today. What's going on, Frank?
So apparently a transformer blew out in our subdivision. So we had to get a hotel. So
you're in a hotel. Have you ordered room service yet?
I have not. I don't. In a COVID-driven world, I don't trust the food in hotels right now. So
tequila's safe. You can get bottles of tequila sent up there. Come on, Frank, get with it, man.
I have Pinot Grigio, so I mean,
there you go.
I was gonna have a glass, but I thought 10 a.m. was a little bit too early.
It's 5:00 somewhere, buddy.
Hey guys, Monday through Friday, you trying to check out the show? We're on YouTube. Hit the button for HC Up to the Minute, Houston Community College. Get all the latest episodes, campus interviews. We're also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, every single day, Monday through Friday. So let's grow the show and let's get it going.
All right, Frank, got some exciting things to talk with you about later in the show. Astros, they're red hot, buddy. They are red hot now. Okay, we'll check in with Frank. What's that?
I think like 10 straight now, right?
11. I think they're at 11 straight. If they get to 12, they get a franchise record. So
nice.
They tie a franchise record. All right, Frank, we'll be checking with you in just a little while. Get that Pinot Grigio delivered up right now. Room service. Okay, on with the show. Dr. Jimmy Adams, you know him, you love him. He's known as the college operations officer for HCC's Northeast College, but he's also our resident poet on the show. Good to see you, Dr. Adams. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you guys as well.
We missed you last week, but it was a good reason because the college kind of jumped start on the whole Juneteenth national holiday. Juneteenth's now a national holiday. HCC got a jump start on it, and we got an unexpected 3-day weekend last weekend.
So, man, go figure, huh? It's been a long time coming.
I'm telling you, it's been a long time coming, but it is here. And next year, I'm sure it'll be a bigger thing. A lot of companies will be jumping on this and having a holiday. I just hope we can keep it around a 3-day weekend. That would be nice, but I know it's going to fall at different times.
Yeah, but, we'll take advantage of it anyway.
Absolutely. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about Juneteenth, because I know you're going to do a piece on it.
Yeah,
I'm going to do history behind it.
Yeah, I'll do a piece on it and then kind of share a little history around the event. I wrote this piece a few years ago and shared it with the board.
Yeah.
Also in celebration of Juneteenth. Just happened that, last Thursday, President Biden signed into legislation, making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Now this was the first holiday, I guess the first national holiday established since Martin Luther King's birthday. And that was back in 1983. So it's been a long time. So, and if you know anything about Juneteenth, it really commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. And so I thought he also brought up a little history about this activist, Opal Lee. I don't know if you know who she is.
I've heard a lot about her. She's been in the news a lot for the last week.
Yeah, she's been, fighting this for a long time. She's 89, and she decided to walk from her home in Fort Worth to Washington in an effort to get Juneteenth named a national holiday. So, and I think Joe Biden met her and he called her the grandmother of the movement to make Juneteenth a holiday. So
that was an incredible thing that she did. And it's been a lifelong passion from what I understand for her. And you have to congratulate her. And she's living to see her dream.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. So, I'm from Alabama. So, coming to Texas, I didn't know what Juneteenth was myself. So, I started to read some history on it. So it's kind of interesting. And so I wrote this little piece around it. So I'll go ahead and give that, and I'll give a little history around this whole thing. Okay, so on June 19, 1965, about 2 months after the Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered in Virginia, the Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, to inform enslaved African Americans of their freedom and that the Civil War had ended. General Granger announcement put into effect the Emancipation Proclamation, which had been issued more than 2.5 years earlier on January the 1st, 1863 by President Abraham Lincoln. So Juneteenth is a celebration honoring the day when Black slaves were legally freed in the United States. So this piece is called Let Us Not Forget. So let us not forget January the 1st, 1863, the day President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, setting the enslaved free. Let us not forget June 19, 1865, when Major General Gordon Granger landed on the shores of the historic beach town Galveston, a day in history that impacted so many lives. Holding in his hand General Order Number 3, he shouted from Galveston Aston Villa balcony, "The people are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the executive of the United States, all slaves are free." So let us not forget, this was 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. It is not known why this news of freedom was delayed, but let us not be bitter. Let us not be afraid. Let us rejoice that history was made. Let us not forget to celebrate, to reflect, and to rejoice. Let us share in the spirit of the soul of our ancestors without remorse. Let us not forget to dress up in clothes of our descendants and connect to our traditional roots and celebrate our independence. Let us toss our ragged garments into rivers and creeks. Let us shed the remnants of the past and realize that freedom has come at last. Let us not forget Reverend Jack Yates, the godfather of Juneteenth, and his efforts to collect funds to purchase Emancipation Park in Houston. Now, hallowed ground for us to trod. It is a place for celebration to reflect on what has been done that will forever be etched in our heart. Let us not forget Reverend Ralph Abernathy's appeal in 1968, leading the cause for us to celebrate, giving people of all races and creeds a chance to join hands in the Poor People's March to Washington, D.C., and fight for equal rights for you and me. Let us not forget State Representative Al Edwards and his efforts to make Juneteenth an official state holiday. And January the 1st, 1980, his fight came at last. Now, this emancipation celebration will forever link us to our past. So let us not forget to spread the word. Go and tell the world of what you've heard. Let us dance in the streets. Let us party in our parks. Let us parade down the streets of Acres Homes. Let us celebrate in the streets of Missouri City. Let us dance in the streets of Third Ward. Let us keep Juneteenth close to our hearts. Let us not forget the events of 1965. Let us keep the significance of Juneteenth alive. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. Incredible piece there. And, you bring up a lot of history and a lot of local flavor in that poem as well. You mentioned a few locations in town. A couple of them I want to mention because Emancipation Park, HCC played a role in that a couple of weeks ago. We had hosted a cleanup in Emancipation Park. In fact, we've got a piece running in social media that shows our efforts that day.
Excellent. Well,
and you also mentioned Missouri City, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Missouri City, but they actually, I believe that Missouri City or Stafford, they hold their own Juneteenth parade that HCC proudly is represented in the parade as well.
Wow. Well, hey, it's very relevant now, and look how all of this has come together into this great moment in history. So we played a big part in that. In history now, so that so I wanted to share that with you guys today, and thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to do that.
That's it's once again an incredible piece. Sorry we couldn't get it on last week, but we did get a holiday out of this, and we'll have another one coming up next year around the same time.
Yeah. So I'll take that holiday.
Oh, yeah. We'll always take a federal holiday. That's always a good thing. But, with the holidays, it's kind of like Martin Luther King Jr. Day. You not only want to enjoy your time off with your friends and family and enjoy your day off, but with all holidays, you've got to think back to the significance of the holiday as well, because that needs to be meaningful to really appreciate it.
Yeah. And we do a great job in Houston in celebrating our holidays. And Juneteenth, is celebrated all over Houston on that day. So, I think we need to just keep that close to our hearts and understand the significance of, what has taken place and been put into for a federal holiday. And so I think history was made again, and I got a chance to see it, with these old eyes of mine.
Dr. Adams, before you get off, I wanted to ask you about, you guys have a big event coming up July the 23rd. Maybe we can mention that because we'll be promoting it in the show as well, but maybe you could mention what you have coming up on the 23rd.
We have a blood drive in partnership with the city of Houston that will be held on our Acres Homes campus on July the 23rd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we're still trying to put together all of the communications, but we'll get that out to you guys. And we'd like to see everybody come out and take it, be a part of it.
All right. We'll be reminding you of that as we move on in the future. Dr. Jimmy Adams, our resident poet. We know you're a busy man. We appreciate you being here today.
All right. And go Astros.
Go Astros. Yeah. 11 wins, looking for number 12. Thanks, Dr. Adams.
All right, guys. Y'all be careful.
Talk to you soon. Safe. All right. So we are going to move on with our next guest. Let's see if she's ready to go. Crystal Martinez is joining us.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Crystal, how are you?
Hey, hanging in there.
Hanging in there. We appreciate you being here. You're with the Officially Greenlit Actors and Crew, and you're our Film Friday guest. Thanks for being here. Sure. Well, first off, why don't you tell us about the Officially Greenlit Actors and Crew? What exactly is that?
Well, Officially Greenlit Actors and Crew is it's a separate organization from the acting school that I've had for the past 10 years, which is OGAC's acronym for Ongoing Acting Classes with Crystal Martinez. So I wanted to do something. I wanted to create an entity where I could bring together resources from the film industry, whether in front of or behind the camera, that also included other acting coaches. And the best way to do that was to, start a separate entity with a separate name, right?
Right.
So this workshop that we did was sort of a way to kick that off and bring attention to it. And eventually within the next year, the hope is to be able to start to bring in some of the other top acting coaches in Houston, to work with actors along with a lot of the filmmaking resources that we have here in Houston.
You recently had a workshop. Then maybe you can tell us a little bit about how that worked. Was this your first workshop that you held in person, or how did that work since COVID had happened?
Since COVID had happened, yes, but I had been holding classes in person and via Zoom, sort of throughout. I mean, obviously there was a stretch there of several months when I didn't have anything. I've held one other workshop like this before about 8 or 9 years ago, and I'd always wanted to do another one, but because it took so much to put it together, and this one, the magnitude of this one was just, it was insane because the guests flew in. The speakers flew in from, Dallas, and I had 3 people come in from Dallas that we brought in, and then the various other ones from here in Houston, and not to mention the attendees that came in from Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, and all areas surrounding, including Houston.
And you had someone who was the casting director from Richard Linklater's Boyhood.
Yeah. Yeah, the lady's name is Beth Sevko. She's been in the business for over 25 years. I think her biggest probably claim to fame is that she's worked closely with Robert Rodriguez, which is, the director for Machete, Sin City, blah, 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 Spy Kids. But so her office is in the same buildings at Troublemaker Studios. And she was instrumental in starting my career off when I started about 20 years ago. And she's done so much for the Texas film industry that when I decided to put this thing together, the first thing I thought about was trying to bring in a casting director. And so I figured, let's go for the top and see what they say, and then I'll just work my way down. I didn't expect that she would say yes, but she was gracious enough to say yes, because she and I have a good relationship. And she was there, and she was definitely a big draw to the actors that were performing scenes.
When you're talking the Texas film industry, I mean, you mentioned some names that just seem synonymous with Texas. Robert Rodriguez, Richard Linklater, Mike Judge, one of my favorites, and they all have these Texas ties. Of course, Mike Judge, you may recognize the name, but everyone knows King of the Hill. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was really the point, I think, that was the foundation for bringing in nothing but Texas, Texas speakers, was the fact that there's an incredible, pool of talent, both in front of and behind the camera. And, we had actors, we had several actors. One of them was a student of mine, Molly, and, went on to be on Queen Sugar and several other things, Walker, Texas Rangers. The other one was Dave Maldonado, an actor, been in the business pretty much as long as I've been in the business. He and I both sort of started together at the same time. Then, of course, we had the talent agents, one out of Dallas, one out of Houston. And then Chad Gunderson was another person. And all the people that I mentioned are people who sparked their careers, started their careers out of Texas, and have maintained their careers while still living in Texas. And the idea and the concept behind that was to show people, number one, that there is incredible talent, in Texas, but also that you don't have to move out of Texas just to have a career, which is something that in 20 years I've been doing it, I proved that both to myself and to others as well.
Are the productions coming back to Texas in full swing right now after COVID? I mean, it seems like, Texas has such monetary incentives for coming here. I mean, we're a very film friendly state, but are the productions getting back underway now?
Absolutely. I spoke to everybody, all of the guests that I invited, I spoke to throughout leading up to the day of the event. And some of the most interesting information that I think I got was when I spoke to initially there were 4 agents, talent agents. Every one of them said that they were busy throughout COVID, and some of them even got busier. And then once things started to open up, they said that they've been, so busy that it's been nonstop.
Yeah.
Another thing that I heard was that there are productions that are coming to Texas from other states that have not yet fully opened up, because they need to get back to work, right? These productions are still going on, and they need to we just had a pilot season, and what's happening is that instead of pilot season ending, typically when it does around April, May, it's continuing through the summer, because they're not only doing the new shows that have gotten greenlit, but they're also having to shoot, all of the series that are episodes that are backdated. So we're going to be busy for the next probably good year and a half consistently throughout. So it's definitely it's definitely a remarkable time right now for Texas.
When films are being made, there's a long pre-production process. Did studios and filmmakers use the time of COVID shutdown to work on the pre-production, where you do your storyboarding, your meeting, and planning of the production itself? Is that what was happening during the COVID shutdown for many filmmakers?
I mean, I obviously what was happening was trying to figure out how to get back to the set and be able to comply and keep everybody healthy and be able to sustain. That was probably the number one thing on their mind. But from an actor's perspective, what happened was that they had more of an opportunity because LA was shut down. We know that, and we opened up before California did. But during that time, because they couldn't shoot, because they couldn't, bring their actors back or even their crew back, they had a lot more time to start looking at non-name actors, unknown actors, right? And so the opportunities for a lot of us increased exponentially, because suddenly, you've got these directors, producers, writers, whatever, agents sitting at home online, and they got the time to just kind of putter around the internet and look at, Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and, Actors Access and you name it. They did it to try to, find more unknown names. So it was a good time for us.
Yeah.
In addition, the smaller productions, I think, benefited a great deal in the sense that they were able to, get out there and do a little guerrilla filmmaking and put stuff together and post that content, because people were looking for something new, and because the studios weren't giving it to us. A lot of this independent stuff became sort of the go-to thing, and out of that there were a lot of gems that, both in front of and behind the camera that got people's attention. So I think that if anything, the studios were playing catch up, once they knew that, okay, this is when we're going to open, or this is when we have gotten the green light to go back to set for this production or that, or this film or that. If anything, they were playing catch up because they've always got stuff in the pipeline, what I mean? So, but yeah, I think, if you're not going to be able to go to set and you've got a lot more time to plan, you try to stay busy and plan better, I guess.
Yeah. Did you change your way of teaching or have to look at it a different way by doing online virtual sessions?
Yes and no. I started teaching because I started teaching about 9 or 10 years ago because there were a lot of people that my agent was sending to me because when I started to book episode or TV shows and films, or at least for films callbacks, but TV shows that as well. I was doing it off of taped auditions. So I was really submitting for taped auditions already 10 years ago. And I was successful at it. The first 3 or 4 credits that I got were off of taped auditions, So I had kind of been through the process of sending in multiple auditions for a TV show called Revolution on NBC. I had to submit 5 different tapes. They were shooting in Wilmington, North Carolina. And so I didn't have a callback in person, but I had 5 different taped auditions. So I really, earned that one. And after that, the rest that came were also off of these taped auditions. So I already had sort of figured out an approach that worked. So my agent would send people to me based off of that knowledge, and kind of to have me share whatever it was that was working for me. And along with that, some of my callbacks were via Skype at that time. So I was sort of already working with the concept of doing a scene. For me, it was in front of Neil Berger, who did Allegiant. He did that film with Kevin Hart and the guy from Breaking Bad, where he was paraplegic, and many, many other things. So my first Skype audition was for Neil. I don't know, maybe a good 8 years ago.
So you're already experienced doing this. It wasn't foreign to you.
Yeah. Right. So it was not a new concept to me. And based off of those experiences, and by the way, I booked that. I did that callback. I booked it and we went out to Atlanta. It was shot for 3 weeks. It was show called The Jury. It just didn't get picked up by the studio, but I had that experience behind me. So when it came to, you know, sort of refocusing everything exclusively to Zoom, I already kind of knew what to do and how to teach and, you know, how to advise people based off of firsthand experience and knowledge. So it wasn't so much, you know, figuring it out along the way. I'd sort of already done that. Really, more than anything, it was about getting people to want to join via Zoom, because it's a very different experience than it is in person, you know?
It certainly, it's a different experience. Future workshops, any of them on tap for if any of our students are interested?
Yeah, absolutely. I swore up and down that I was not going to do another workshop for at least a year, because this one was so difficult to organize. There's a lot of different, you know, a lot of moving parts. But one of the things that resulted out of this workshop was the feedback that the 60-something actors that performed scenes got from the panelists. And so what is coming in August the 7th, that's the tentative date, is that we're going to do a second one. And it's going to be a follow-up to the first one. Most of the actors are going to come in by invitation based off of what the panelists suggest. And it's going to be more competitive. And as opposed to having all 60 get exposed to the panel as well as the casting director. But by the way, she was extremely gracious giving us, you know, the time that she did. She only had 2 hours. She gave us 3, but via Zoom. But instead of putting that type of pressure on her, and to be able to whittle it down to the people that are really, you know, ready to get in front of an agent or a casting director, we're going to probably do a couple of rounds, you know. So the format's going to change a little bit, but it's still going to be, there's still going to be a day of teaching early in the morning, so people get something out of it. And then I think, in fact, I'm pretty confident that this time we are going to have a day that's exclusively for filmmakers, which is what we had intended initially before the 2 workshops got merged.
Crystal Martinez, acting coach of Officially Greenlit Actors and Crew. Thanks for being here. If folks want to get information about your company and how they can be involved in the workshop, we're going to put the link in the social media post for the show.
Sounds good. Send them to ogaccm.life. That's the school. I'll get more info there. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Crystal.
Right, thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, no worries. Bye-bye.
All right. Frank Cooper joining us from he's not at his home, folks. They're out of electricity there. Frank's at the hotel today. Has that Pinot been delivered to you yet, Frank?
I'm not gonna even either confirm or deny that based on how much I need this job. So
okay, we won't confirm or deny. Frank, we're going to skip ahead with some of our announcements. I want to get to some of the important ones. And the main thing is we want to talk about this free degree program. Are you familiar with the Eagle Promise program, Frank?
I am. I very much am familiar with that. They've done a lot of great work.
Free with the Eagle Promise.
So your federal and state grants and scholarships don't cover all you need for an eligible HCC degree or certificate, but Eagle Promise dollars will. Don't wait. Apply today. So to apply for that, go to hccs.edu/free degree.
Yeah. So make sure you do that now, because we're registering for the fall and also the last summer session. You can go to hccs.edu/now to register and get your seat for your classes. Remember, the in-person classes, they're going on once again. Our campuses are open, folks. In-person classes are happening this summer. A lot more are happening in the fall, but there'll be small classes with social distancing. So you'll need to sign up now to make sure you get the class you need. We'll still have online classes. We'll have some hybrid classes, but in order to get the ones you want, the times you want in person, make sure you go and register today, hccs.edu/now. And Frank, you know, we've got a number of registration events that are happening on our campuses. We'll be promoting those throughout the next several weeks as we get into the fall semester. So you'll have a chance to go to a campus in person, meet with everybody you need to meet, from admissions to registration to financial aid, advising, meet with them and actually register in person, or you can do it by going to that website. Okay, let's get on to the next thing, which is, hey, we're going to wrap up the show. But Frank, before we do, we've got one thing we want to remind everybody, and that's the Astros are really doing very well right now.
Yeah, 12 straight. I mean, they're coming together. And I don't know if you remember this time, back in mid-April, you was frustrated. They weren't playing well. And I was telling you, look, man, they do this almost every year. They start off slow. The bats are cold, but now the pitchers come together, the bullpens come together, and they're on the streak. And this is what I expect for them. They're the most talented team in the division, and I expect great things from them the rest of the season.
It should be a good season to watch. I know they started really hot. Then they just went and they hit the doldrums, it seemed like, for about 6 weeks, where they would get a win, maybe lose 2, win 2, lose 1, whatever, and they really hovered around or below the 500. But now, boy, they're really taking off.
Absolutely. It's dog days of summer. I mean, 100 plus games, you're going to have weeks where you're not hitting, or you're not pitching well, or you have, if you have errors here and there. But the good teams to really great teams, they look at it as a marathon, not a race, and they'll be there in the end.
The Astros keep winning. We keep broadcasting shows here. We're nothing like the Astros, but we'll bring you some good content. All right, Frank, I hope you get back in your house soon, buddy.
Thank you so much, man. I hope so too.
All right, we'll see you next week, and we'll see all of you Monday. We've got HCC's Community Learning Program. They're going to be on here Monday with their new interim director, and also it's Music Monday. We got some surprises for you there. Stick around for that. Monday morning, live, 10 a.m. We'll see you on Up to the Minute.